Hi, I'm Alexis Keppel.
Hi, my name is Tonya Palacios.
I'm Cody McClelland.
Hi, my name is Jessie Rosenstein. And this is our final project when it comes to the wildfires in Australia and the global impact that they play.
A current wicked problem we continue to face today throughout the world is wildfires. This long-term, devastating sustainability problem will continue to worsen if we do not take action towards climate change, wildfire's #1 cause. Recently, bushfires have broken out in Australia, making it easier to identify harmful causes, effects, and drivers of the problem. The current state of the problem is getting worse, with the amount of wildfires in recent years increasing, as well as their harmful effects. Some effects of wildfires include air pollution, water pollution, destruction of many types of ecosystems, poor economic impacts on agriculture, and worsening climate change. Without policies and regulations to decrease the effects of climate change, wildfires will not stop, and the vicious cycle of the destruction of our Earth will continue.
Over the past 2 decades, Australia has experienced several droughts and the wildfires which result from those droughts. A few of the drivers which lead to the wildfires are low moisture fuel, spatially continuous fuel, and unfavorable weather conditions. What low moisture fuel means is that the trees and foliage which act as fuel have little to no moisture to prevent from catching on fire. In the case of spatially continuous fuel, the source of fuel is too close together and makes fires infinitely easier to spread. As far as weather conditions go, Australia has experienced long stretches of time with little to no rain, which leads to droughts and ultimately to wildfires. All of these drivers can in one way or another be tied to a rising climate in the region. A few indicators to illustrate the effect of the fires would be decreasing koala population, considering an astronomical amount have died in the wildfires. This would be considered as an environmental impact. Another indicator would be urbanization and the population growth, which is social response. Australia's population is on the rise, and an effect of that is urbanization, thus creating more livable areas for the rising population. It would create less area for the fire to spread, but at the same time increase the risk of those new homes potentially burning due to close proximity to fire-prone areas. A final indicator is the increase in the Fire Safety Fund, which is an economic response. Due to the fires, the funding has gone down for fire safety to fund environmental change. One scenario which could easily play out if Australia does not respond quickly to their climate change-driven droughts would see significantly more destruction to the region. In the next 20 years, if Australia continues to rely on coal and natural gas for their energy needs, it will further drive climate change and likely create even less rain and ultimately more droughts and wildfires. Economically, it will be a balancing act between rising their GDP and responding to the environmental catastrophes. The citizens of the affected areas will no longer be able to trust their government, and it will create civil unrest amongst the people. To combat these wildfires, Australia needs to make a change, and they need to make it now.
So we talk about it a lot on what's going to incite change and get this global tragedy down. And when it really comes to it, the government isn't playing a huge role in Australia, and that's where we need to see the change. We've seen, as Cody stated, astronomical destruction from animals and fragile ecosystems within the Australian habitat. There's over 221 mammals that are only found in Australia. Who knows how fragile their ecosystem is or what these fires have done to their ability to survive. We've seen countless pictures of koalas hanging on to their parents, and those all incite the want for change. But on a governmental level, when it comes to one of the largest producers of coal and a lot of other natural resources that we need, we're not seeing change, not fast enough. So what it's going to come down to is a full grassroots movement of the community and companies showing that this is important. We don't want the effect to spread as it already had to South Africa. We saw smoke stem as high from Australia that's ever been captured on a satellite. We're seeing the caps in New Zealand start to brown, which is jeopardizing their natural ecosystem, right? It's not just one area. It needs to be a global change where we can take lead and show that this is important. We need it to change. And the reason why is we just can't maintain a safe standard of living or rebuild the Australian ecosystem or environment if no action has taken on a governmental level.
So what is the long-term vision for Australia as a nation? Well, the long-term vision of the nation of Australia is to ensure that they are working towards becoming a carbon neutral state. And this is going to require that all of the citizens and the government continue to work together to share information and ensure that policies and practices are put into place that protect the natural environment around them. And this includes both the marine and the terrestrial landscapes of Australia. So a vision state is really understanding what the best possible outcome for the country can be. And the vision for Australia is ultimately rooted in climate change. So the bushfires that are currently burning in Australia have been blamed on global warming, which has resulted in a drought, and then of course the human impact on the natural environment around them as we continue to encroach on habitats that were not subject to human interaction before. So, and this is really going to require that there is a sharing of information, that the government continues to support policy changes and laws that are put into place to support funding and understanding what Australia can do overall as a nation to reduce their carbon footprint at this point. This is going to require that citizens are understanding of the small impacts that they can have and how they can reduce at their local levels, as well as how the government continues to fund scientific studies and understand how they continue to move forward as a country. So this is really going to require a multi-piece puzzle that needs to be put together, and how all of the citizens work together with the government to share this information is how they will continue to work towards their sustainability goals and continue to have an impact that will support the nation in a positive way.